Somebody is going to tell you that you are getting 2 Social Security checks this month. They are going to say it in a video. They are going to say it in a headline. Somebody at church is going to say it to you in the parking lot. And here's what I need you to understand before a single dollar of your budget moves. You are not getting 2 checks. Not this month, not any month, not ever. You are going to get 12 payments this year. The same 12 you got last year and the same 12 you will get next year. Verified card. Source. Social Security Administration payment schedule. What is actually happening in August is a calendar quirk, and it is a quirk that has already cost people real money. Because when somebody believes an extra check is coming, they spend against it. They tell the pharmacy they can pick up the prescription next week. They let a bill sit one more cycle. They tell a grandchild yes. And then the extra check does not arrive, because it was never coming. And I want to be clear about who this reaches, because it is not a handful of people. Tens of millions of Americans receive a payment from this agency every single month. Retirement, survivors, disability, supplemental income. Which means when a false story about payments goes around, it does not reach a few. It reaches a country full of people whose entire monthly budget is one number. For a household with room to breathe, a wrong rumor is an annoyance. For a household where that check is the floor, a wrong rumor is a decision. A bill paid or not paid. A prescription filled or stretched. That is why this particular lie is worse than most. That is the first thing happening in August, and it is a lie. But there are 3 real things happening underneath it, and every one of them is being drowned out by the noise. One of them changes how some people physically receive their money. One of them is a delay problem so bad that people are missing surgeries and losing prescriptions over it. And one of them is a rescue almost nobody in this country knows exists. Money the Social Security Administration can put in your hand in a matter of days, when you are about to be evicted or your power is about to be shut off. That last one is real. It has a name. It has a process. And the people who need it most have never been told it exists. Before this video ends, I will tell you exactly what it is called and exactly what to say to get it. My name is Kevin. I read the rules so you do not have to. If you are new here, this channel exists for one reason. We read the fine print that decides what happens to your money, so you find out before the system decides for you. Subscribe and turn on the bell, because the noise around Social Security this month is louder than it has been all year, and almost none of it is true. Let me start with the 2 checks, because I want to kill this one properly. Here is how the payment calendar actually works. If you receive supplemental security income, that payment arrives on the 1st of the month. Every month. That is the rule. Verified card. Source. SSA, SSI payments are issued on the 1st of each month. But the 1st of the month does not always land on a business day, and when the 1st falls on a weekend or a federal holiday, the payment does not wait. It moves earlier, to the last business day before it. Verified card. Source. SSA, payments are issued on the preceding business day when the scheduled date falls on a weekend or holiday. This year, the 1st of August landed on a Saturday, so the August payment went out on Friday, the 31st of July. And now look at what that does to a calendar. July shows 2 payments, one on the 1st, one on the 31st, and August shows nothing at all. That is the entire story. That is all of it. Nobody received extra money, nobody was given a bonus. One payment simply arrived a day early and landed on the other side of a page in a calendar. And this is not rare. It happens several times every single year. Any month whose first day lands on a Saturday, a Sunday, or a federal holiday produces the exact same optical illusion, which is why the same headline comes back around like clockwork, several times a year, aimed at the same people. And for those on retirement or survivor's benefits, rather than supplemental income, the schedule works differently again. Those payments are spread through the month, on Wednesdays, based on the day of the month you were born. Verified card. Source. SSA. Retirement and survivor's benefits are paid on Wednesdays according to date of birth. Same principle underneath it. A schedule, published in advance, that never changes the number of payments in a year. Only which day they land on. And there is one genuine exception worth knowing because it is the only time the count actually changes. If you receive both supplemental income and a regular benefit, you are receiving 2 different payments on 2 different schedules. That is not a bonus either. That is 2 programs each paying on its own calendar. People sometimes see those 2 arrive close together and conclude something unusual happened. Nothing did. It is simply 2 schedules overlapping in the same week. Now, I want you to understand what the people selling the other version are actually doing. They are not confused, not the ones doing it at scale. They know exactly what the payment calendar says. They know it happens several times a year, every year, for the same mechanical reason. And they run the same headline anyway because "you are getting 2 checks" is one of the most clicked sentences that exists in this country. Then, weeks later, when a person on a fixed income opens an empty mailbox in the middle of August, none of those people are anywhere to be found. And I want to name the machinery behind it because you deserve to understand what you are actually looking at when one of these appears. A great many of these videos are produced at volume. A script written in minutes, a voice that is not a person, images pulled from anywhere, published by an account that will be gone next year. There is no one behind it who will ever answer for what it cost you. That is not an accident of the format. That is the entire appeal of the format. So here is a test you can apply to anything you see about your money. Does this tell me something is arriving that I did not earn and did not apply for? If yes, be extremely slow. Does this tell me a rule exists that I have to go find and ask for myself? That one is far more likely to be real because there is no reward in inventing homework for you. The lies almost always give. The truth almost always asks. Let me tell you about Merrill. Merrill is 72. He lives in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. He spent 26 years at a grain elevator, and his check is nearly everything he has. His neighbor showed him a video on a phone. 2 checks in July, a bonus month. It looked official. It had a government building on it. Merrill did the arithmetic that anybody would do. He had been putting off a dental appointment for 11 months because it was going to run him a few $100s he did not have. And here was a few $100s, apparently, arriving out of nowhere. So he made the appointment. And then August came, and his mailbox was empty. And it stayed empty, because the payment he had already counted as extra had actually been his August payment, arriving 1 day early. He was not confused about money. He had run a household on that check for years. He was lied to, by people who knew better and did it anyway, because a lie about an extra check gets clicked on. And the cost was not just the appointment. He canceled it, which meant going back to the end of a waiting list. It meant several more months with a tooth that had already been hurting for a year, and it meant something harder to name. He had let himself believe for a few weeks that something was finally going his way. That is the part these headlines never account for. They do not just move money around on a page. They hand a person on a fixed income a moment of relief and then take it back, and the person is left feeling foolish about something that was never their mistake. Merrill told me he felt stupid. He should not. He was targeted. So let me give you the sentence that permanently protects you from this one. 12 payments a year, always. The date can move, the number never does. Anytime you see a calendar showing 2 payments in 1 month, the correct reading is not extra. It is early. And the month on the other side of it will be empty. And there is one habit that protects you from every version of this permanently. The agency publishes its payment calendar in advance. It is free, it is public, and it shows every date for the whole year. Verified card. Source. SSA publishes an annual payment schedule. Print it. Put it on the refrigerator. Then the next time somebody tells you extra money is coming, you do not have to argue with them, and you do not have to wonder. You walk to the refrigerator and look. That single piece of paper on a refrigerator door does more to protect a household than any video on the internet, including this one. And there is a second version of this circulating right now that I want to shut down in the same breath. The new debit card story. You may have seen it, new cards being issued, something big coming, sometimes with a hint that a payment or a rebate might be attached to it. Here is what is actually happening, and it is genuinely dull. There are people who receive Social Security who do not have a bank account. For years, those people have received their money on a prepaid card program. Verified card. Source, SSA. Prepaid card option for beneficiaries without bank accounts. Confirm current program details. That program is administered by a bank under contract, and the contract changed hands. That is it. Different institution administering the same card. If you are on that program, you may have received a new card in the mail. If you are not, nothing about your money is changing at all. There is no bonus attached to it, there is no rebate, there is no stimulus hiding behind it. And here is why this particular rumor is more dangerous than the 2 checks one. When people believe new cards are being issued and money might be attached, they start expecting contact. And that is exactly the opening a scammer needs. A call, a text, a letter saying your new card is ready and they need to verify your social security number and your bank details to activate it. Verified card. Source, SSA, and its Office of the Inspector General warn about impersonation scams. The agency does not request personal information by text or social media. So let me be extremely plain, because this one costs people everything they have. The agency will not text you, it will not message you on social media, it will not call demanding your social security number, your bank account, or a payment to activate anything. If a card is genuinely being reissued to you, it arrives in the mail and it requires nothing from you but a phone call to a number printed on the card itself. Anybody contacting you first, asking you to confirm details, is not the government. Hang up. Then call the agency yourself using a number you looked up. And there is a related change worth knowing that is also being wildly misreported. When the agency needs to issue a payment to somebody urgently, it has historically cut a paper check right there. That is being moved toward a card as well. Which sounds like nothing. It sounds like a payment method changing. Except that mechanism, the urgent one, is the single most valuable thing in this entire video, and almost nobody knows it exists. I promised you that at the start. I am coming back to it. Hold on to it. Now, let me get to the thing that is doing real damage right now. The delays. The agency's own leadership has been telling Congress and the public that service is running better than it has in decades. Verified card. Source. SSA public statements on agency performance. Confirm current statements before recording. And people who work inside that system and people standing in front of it are describing something very different. I want to be careful about how I say this because I am not in a position to audit an agency. What I can tell you is what is landing in front of me over and over again from people watching this channel and people writing to me. Somebody loses their job and with it their health insurance. They go to enroll in Medicare and it does not process in time. Their prescriptions run out. Somebody has a surgery scheduled and the coverage they were counting on has not been finalized, so the surgery moves. Somebody cannot get through on the phone and the local office says, "Come back with an appointment," and the appointment is weeks out. That is not a statistic. That is a person without medication in the meantime. And there is a practical layer to this that nobody explains. When the phone line is overwhelmed, the answer is not to call more often. It is to call differently. Early in the morning, early in the week, and later in the month are consistently better than the alternatives. The first days of a month are the worst possible time to call, because that is when payment questions flood in. And if a callback option is offered, take it. Do not sit on hold out of a fear that hanging up loses your place. A callback holds your position. 2 hours on a speakerphone does the same thing and costs you the entire morning. And there is one specific version of this that I need to warn people about directly, because the timing traps them. If you are covered by health insurance through your job or your spouse's job, you may not have signed up for Medicare at 65. That is normal and often correct. Verified card. Source. Medicare Special Enrollment Period rules for people covered by current employer insurance. When that employment coverage ends, a special window opens for you to enroll without a penalty. It runs several months. And here is the trap that catches people. A window with no penalty is not the same thing as coverage you have right now. People hear you have months and they relax. They take their time. They file online and wait. And the months are not the danger. The gap is the danger. Because the day the job coverage ends is the day you are uninsured, and it stays that way until the new coverage actually starts. If that processing is slow, that gap is real, and it is where the missed prescriptions and postponed surgeries live. So the practical rule is the opposite of what everyone assumes. Do not use the whole window. Start the moment you know the coverage is ending, ideally before it ends. The penalty deadline is generous. The medicine in your cabinet is not. Now I want to stop here because Merrill is the exact reason I built the thing I am about to tell you about. He was not careless. He was not foolish with money. He ran a household on a fixed income for years, and he was good at it. He was standing in a storm of noise, and nobody had ever handed him one page that said in plain English what is true and what is not. That is the whole problem. It is not that the information is secret. It is that the truth is quiet and the lies are loud. That is what the Quiet Rules is. It is the drawer version of everything I cover on this channel. Written large, Written simple. How the payment calendar actually works, so no headline can ever move your budget again. What the real programs are called. Which claims are worth your attention, and which ones exist to be clicked on. So the person at the kitchen table with a phone in their hand and a neighbor's rumor in their ear can check it in 10 seconds instead of finding out in August. The paper remembers for you. That is the entire point of paper. You can find it at kevinexplains.shop. The link is right below this video, or scan the QR code on your screen right now. It is also in the pinned comment at the top, and there is a 7-day guarantee, always. If it does not hand you something you did not have before, you send it back. Because the alternative is a good man making a dental appointment against money that was never coming. If nobody has ever explained the payment calendar to you before today, do me one favor. Subscribe and turn on the bell. Because this channel reads the fine print that nobody mails to your house. Now, let me pay off exactly what I promised you at the start. Because this is the part of the video that can actually put money in somebody's hand this week. There are 2 things the Social Security Administration can do that almost nobody outside that building knows about. They are not loopholes, they are not tricks, they are established procedures with names, and they exist precisely for the worst weeks of a person's life. The first one is an emergency advance payment. Verified card. Source SSA Emergency Advance Payment Procedure. Confirm current process before recording. If you have applied for benefits and you are clearly going to be approved, but the paperwork has not finished walking through the building, and you have a financial emergency right now, the agency can advance you money before the claim is completed. Read that again because it reverses what everybody assumes. The assumption is that you wait, that there is nothing to do but wait because it is the government and the government is slow. That is not true in an emergency. There is a door. The second one is an immediate payment. Verified card. Source SSA Immediate Payment Procedure. Confirm current process before recording. This one is for when you are already receiving benefits and something has gone wrong. Your payment did not arrive, your bank changed, something got lost in a system, and you are facing something that cannot wait. An eviction notice. A shut-off notice from the electric company in the middle of a heat wave. That kind of cannot wait. The agency can issue you money directly, at the office, in a matter of days rather than weeks. And here is why almost nobody uses either of these. Neither one is offered to you. Nobody at a counter looks at a worried person and volunteers, "There is an emergency procedure for this." Nobody says it on the phone. It is not on the letter. It exists for the people who know the words. And I want to be fair to the people working inside that building, because they are not the villain here. Offices are stretched thin. The person at the window may be handling a line out the door with fewer colleagues than the office had a few years ago. Someone rushing through a queue is not going to stop and inventory every special procedure that might apply to you. Which is exactly why the burden lands on you to name it. Not because anyone is withholding it, because in a system moving that fast, the thing that gets acted on is the thing that gets said out loud. So here are the words. If you are in that situation, you say the phrase, "dire need," out loud, plainly, to the person in front of you. Then you say what the emergency actually is, in one sentence. I have an eviction notice. My power is being shut off. I am out of my medication. And bring the paper, the eviction notice, the shut-off notice, whatever you were sent. That piece of paper is what turns your situation from a story into a documented emergency. I want to be honest about the limits, because I will not oversell this. These procedures have conditions. Not everybody qualifies for every one of them. The amount is not unlimited, and the specifics depend on your situation. And there is one thing to understand about an advance specifically, because it is only fair to say it out loud. An advance is exactly what the word means. It is money moved forward, not money added. When your regular payment comes through, the advance is accounted for. Verified card. Source. An emergency advance payment is recovered from the beneficiary's subsequent benefits, which is still enormously valuable. Timing is the whole crisis in most of these situations. Nobody gets evicted because they will never have money. They get evicted because they do not have it on the day the notice expires. Moving money forward 2 weeks is not a small thing when 2 weeks is the difference between keeping an apartment and losing one. But the difference between the person who gets help and the person who does not is almost never eligibility. It is that one of them walked in and said the words, and the other one waited quietly at home because nobody ever told them there was anything else to do. And that is exactly what the quiet rules holds. The names of these procedures, what to bring, what to say, word for word, what to do if the first person you speak to does not know what you are talking about, because sometimes they will not. For this, and for every rule in this video, sitting in the drawer, in plain English, for the week when everything goes wrong at once, you can find it at kevinexplains.shop. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment at the top, or scan the QR code on your screen right now. 7-day guarantee, no questions asked. Because the alternative is somebody sitting at home with an eviction notice on the table, waiting for a system that was ready to help them the whole time. And if your situation is complicated and you want somebody to actually look at it with you, email me. The address is on your screen and in the description below. I read every one. Now there is one more thing about the delays that I want to give you, because it is the piece that gets people through the door. A lot of people are being told they need an appointment to enter a field office and that the appointment is weeks away. And people accept that because it sounds official and because we are all raised to respect a line. But an emergency is not a normal appointment request. If you are in a genuine dire need situation, that is a different category, and it is treated differently. So do not lead with, "I would like an appointment." Lead with the emergency. Say the words, say what is happening and when it happens. Have the paper in your hand, and if you are turned away anyway, do not simply go home and give up. Ask, politely and clearly, to speak to a manager or a supervisor. Write down the name of who you spoke with and the date. That single habit, writing down names and dates, changes how every follow-up conversation goes for the rest of the process. And there is one more route people forget entirely. Every member of Congress has staff whose actual job is helping constituents who are stuck with a federal agency. It is called casework. It is free, and you do not have to agree with that person's politics to use it. They deal with this agency constantly. They have direct lines that the public does not. For a case that has been sitting for months with no movement, that phone call is very often the thing that moves it. And almost nobody in this country knows the service exists. Now let me put all of it together, because I want you to leave with a clear picture. 1. There are no 2 checks. There never were. There are 12 payments a year and a calendar that sometimes shifts one of them a day early. When you see 2 in a month, the next month will be empty. 2. The card story is a contract changing hands. No bonus, no rebate, nothing attached to it. 3. The delays are real, and the most dangerous version is the gap between losing job coverage and Medicare actually starting. Do not use the whole window. 4. There are emergency procedures that exist for the worst week of your life, and they are given only to people who know to ask. Now here is your checklist. 4 things. 1. Write this down somewhere you will see it. 12 payments a year. Any headline promising more than that is selling something. 2. If a video, a post, or a neighbor tells you extra money is coming, check the actual payment calendar before you spend $1 against it. Not the video, the calendar. 3. If you or someone you love is losing job-based health coverage, start the Medicare enrollment immediately. Not in month 6 of the window. The window protects you from a penalty, not from a gap. And there is one more piece of that worth knowing before you walk in. That special enrollment generally requires proof that you actually had employer coverage. There are specific forms involved, and one of them has to be completed by the employer rather than by you. Verified card. Source. Medicare special enrollment requires employment and coverage verification forms. Confirm current forms before recording. Which means a step in this process depends on somebody at a company you no longer work for getting around to signing a page. Start that piece first. It is the part you control the least, and the part most likely to sit on somebody's desk. 4. If you are ever facing an eviction, a shutoff, or a missing payment, do not sit at home waiting. Go in, bring the notice, and say the words "dire need" out loud. Let me leave you with the thing I most want you to keep. There are 2 kinds of information about Social Security in this country right now. There is the loud kind. 2 checks, secret bonuses, a new card that means something. It travels fast because it is exciting, and because excitement is what gets clicked on. And there is the quiet kind, a calendar rule, a payment procedure with a plain name, a window that protects your wallet, but not your medicine cabinet. The loud kind costs people money. Merrill made a dental appointment against it. The quiet kind is the kind that actually helps, and it never travels, because nobody ever built a headline out of the phrase emergency advance payment. The people who get hurt are almost never the people who were careless. They are the people who were told something confidently by somebody who had nothing to lose. So check the calendar, ask for the procedure by name, and be very slow to trust anybody who tells you money is arriving that you did not earn. And say the true version out loud to somebody this week, because the rumor spreads at church, in a parking lot, over a phone passed across a kitchen table. That is how it travels, person to person, from people who mean no harm at all. The correction can travel exactly the same way. It just needs somebody willing to be the one who says, "That is not how the calendar works," to a friend who is about to spend money they do not have. I am Kevin. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to check the quiet rules at kevinexplains.shop.